Okay, welcome back. This hands-on demo is going to be about installing a workstation machine into the domain. Now, I will tell you, you're going to have your domain controller running at the same time as this new machine. Now, I have this thing set up so it's using 3 gig of RAM, okay? And so that might not work for you. All right, so I'm going to hit new. All right, and we're going to do the exact same thing we did before. So I'm going to speed through this a lot. Okay, so here's my configuration. I'm using the same amount of memory with the same 2 processors, with the same everything here. I've loaded my my Windows 10 disk that I've got off of Azure DevTools for Teaching. The only thing really different about this is I told it I wanted NAT network for the adapter. So exact same instructions as when we install the server, except obviously we're using a different, optical disk, and then we're definitely going to use a different network type. Instead of just being NAT, it's NAT network. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and hit the button and we're going to get started. And again, I'm going to skip through most of the parts that you've already seen before. And so I'll just stop and pause at the parts that are kind of different. Okay, so I skipped all the boring stuff, the stuff that we've already done. This part's slightly different, so obviously I'm in the right region. And the correct keyboard layout. No, I don't want a second keyboard. And this is the part that's a little weird. At least in just a second, it'll be a little weird. Okay, what they really want you to do is sign in with a Microsoft account, an MSA. And quite frankly, I don't want to do that. I mean, yes, in the real world, well, maybe not. I mean, for example, if I wish to use an MSA, that's designed for like syncing my game scores between machines and my favorites from Microsoft Edge and all, what kind of wallpaper I have set up on my, there's lots of things you can share among machines. I don't want to do that. This is a test environment. This is a virtual isolated. We're trying to connect this thing to a domain, all that stuff. So I'm going to go over here where it says domain join instead. All right, so I'm not going to do this at all. So I hope you guys are paying attention. And then it says who's going to be using this thing. So well, it's going to be so. This is going to be the local account. So I'm going to go ahead and type it with a dot. All right, just saying. And then a password, so CIS4376 2022. And then it's going to ask the 3, CIS4376. It's going to ask you the 3 questions. So I don't really care what you put in here. You could put in nothing at all, I guess. Okay, so just for convenience sake, I'm just going to say accept. If this was my personal machine, I'd probably turn off a lot of these things, but this is a classroom environment. I don't really care. So I'm going to say, yeah, all these privacy settings. So let Cortana, I'm going to say not now. I mean, Cortana is pretty doggone cool, but Cortana works really well when you're using an MSA. And since we're not, I'm going to say no. Okay. And then we go through the normal thing that you've probably seen before. Okay, so it went ahead and logged me in. I didn't even have to type anything on this first boot. Okay, so I'm up and running on my new machine using a local account. So we're going to make some changes just like we did before, except this one's actually pretty smarter. So if I go to start and hit the gear and go to system and then about. And so I'm going to rename this PC. Right now it's desktop blah 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 blah. So I'm going to hit rename and I'm going to call mine workstation 1. You should probably call yours at the same time. Workstation 1. And remember how I told you that it records the old and the new? I'm going to say restart later because I don't really need to restart right this very second. So this is its old name. That's going to be its new name. Cool. So I'm thinking what we ought to do is to go ahead and get all the updates before we get anywhere else. So I'm just going to go to here, back, and go to update here. And probably there's going to be a lot. Okay. Now, just as a matter of, I don't know, courtesy, when you first install, it doesn't immediately go hit the updates because it's like, oh my God, it's going to make your machine feel like it's really slow during that period of time. That's okay. So I'm going to go ahead and say check for updates, and there's probably going to be quite a few. So I'm going to go ahead and just pause the video. Okay, that took a long time. It took almost 10 minutes to do. All right, so I'm not going to restart now, although quite frankly I should. Instead, I'm going to go ahead and install those guest additions. So just like before, I'm going to go here and say insert guest addition. This time I should get a little announcement that the disk has showed up. Okay, maybe not. All right, fine. I'll go here, go to the machine, click on the guy, and say, yes, I'd like to run the VirtualBox guest additions. Take the defaults just like before. And then when it says, are you ready to reboot? I am. I am going to reboot this time. So I've stacked up 3 things. I could have rebooted when we renamed the machine. I could have rebooted when we did the updates. And now I'm finally going to reboot here. Okay. Okay, that reboot took 2 minutes and 15 seconds on my machine. So I don't have to do the 3-fingered salute here. This is just Windows 10, so I'm just going to click on it, right? And then this is my local account, the one with the dot, right? Okay, so CIS4376, 2022, and we're up and running. So sometime here, you probably need to go through and configure the shared folder settings and the shared clipboard settings just like we did before. Devices, shared folders. I'm going to hit add. And so the folder path on the host machine is temp. And I'm going to say auto mount and make it permanent, although those don't actually really do much. Okay, and then I got that. Cool. Let's go ahead and go here and say, yeah, the short clipboard, I want bidirectional. And maybe I even drag and drop bidirectional. Okay, so cool. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is make some tweaks to the network settings. Because we're getting ready to join the domain, so we absolutely positively have to use the DNS server that's on the domain controller. Now, you do have the domain controller running right this very second, don't you? Good. Okay. So one more time, I'm going to do a right click. I'm going to go to network connections. I'm going to go directly to Ethernet. I'm going to hit the change adapter. This is the same thing we did last time. I'm going to do a right click. I'm going to go to properties. And once again, I'm going to say I'm going to disable the IPv6 because I really just don't need it. I'm going to go here and hit properties. But this time, I'm going to leave the top one alone. Okay. And only change the bottom one. Now, this is tricky. What was the IP address of the server? Okay, in my case, the IP address was 10.0.2.15. That was mine. Okay, so I'm going to hit that. I'm going to hit close. I'm going to hit close. I'm going to hit close. And I'm just going to make sure everything still works, right? I'm going to fire up the good old thing here and... Oh yeah, by the way, I'm going to say none of this stuff. You know, I'm going to say no to all these things. Like, no, I don't want to start without. No, I'm going to continue without this. No, I don't want to send data to Microsoft. And, okay, clearly it's working, right? I'm getting stuff from Microsoft. Okay, cool. You know, I got all this welcome junk. All right, so everything is working. Hooray! Okay, so we have this thing up and running. And perhaps now would be a good time to do like a snapshot of the virtual machine. So if so, let's just go ahead and shut them down and do by the way, there is a way you can do a snapshot with it running, but that's not a good idea. So I'm going to go ahead and just go here, and I'm going to go to power, and I'm going to go ahead and say shut down. Okay, and then I'm going to switch over to this. Now that it's powered off, click on this little doodad and go to snapshots, and I'm going to create one. I'm going to call it like install complete. And the reason I do this is like I'm not sure how many times I can type in the same activation key before it goes sour. Okay, I don't know. So this way I've got it activated, and so if I ever screw things up, I can get back to this. Okay. All right, so now that I got that, let me just go back and fire this guy back up again, right? Because I just wanted to shut it down long enough to go ahead and do a snapshot. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is we're actually going to join this PC to the domain. All right, now that we got everything all squared away. I don't want to wait. Okay. So, CIS4376, 2022. Okie dokie. So, you remember how when we just did the renaming the PC? We're actually going to go back to that guy. So, start, gear, system, about. Okay, remember all that? Well, there used to be a button in older versions of it said join the domain. Okay, it's not there anymore. So you have to scroll all the way down, keep on going until you finally get to this one that says rename this PC advanced. I don't know why they hid this. I really don't know. Okay, and then rename this computer, change this domain or work group. I'm going to hit change. Boom. Okay, so I'm not going to change the name, but I am going to switch over to the domain. And so what's the name of our domain? Our domain is CIS4376.local. Okay, that's the name of our domain. So now it's going to prompt me for credentials. Now, wait a minute now. The credentials it's asking for now is not the local. It's the domain guy, okay? Which in my case is Emmett Gray without a dot. CIS4376. Parents 22 close parents. Okay, you have to have that guy on the welcome to the domain. Dun, dun, dun. And would you like to go ahead and start now? Sure, why not? Why not? Let's go ahead and restart now. Okay, now this time it's different. You're gonna have to be paying attention. Just like when we switched over to using the domain account, I'm gonna have to get other. And then again, see, I only have one domain account, right? That's the whole point of a domain account. I can use it on any machine that's in the domain. I don't have to go to this machine and build an account because I'm using the account in the domain. Okay, so here we go. Okay, so CIS4376 2022. And of course, it has never seen me before in its entire life, so it's going to go through that little dance. Okay, so maybe you want to tweak this the way we did before, where we go in, to the start menu and like add things like control panel and regedit and command prompt, those kind of things. That would be kind of cool to do. But we're essentially done. We have joined the domain and we're running off a domain account. So I'm going to go ahead and shut my guy down because I want to make one more, snapshot that says, after domain or something like that. Again, I'm trying to fix this so that if we crash our machine, it makes it easy to get to. So I'm going to go ahead and go down here and say, shut this guy down. And then I'm going to go click on this guy and I'm going to do yet another snapshot, except this time it's going to be called, after domain or something like that. Something to let you know that we're done. Okay. That has concluded this video, and I'll see you guys in the next video.